Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing Come Follow Me for April, and I'm really excited to go over this with you. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff that we do for Easter and sharing some books that I really love to incorporate Christ into your Easter. So if you are new to my channel, I created this channel as a homeschooling resource to give you curriculum ideas, organizational ideas, and ways to invite Christ into your homeschool space. So if you're interested in those things, please hit that subscribe button and let's get into this curriculum. Okay, so first of all, I cut my hair. I think this is the first video I think that's gonna go up with short hair. There's gonna be kind of a mix of videos for a little while with long and short hair. So anyways, I haven't cut my hair in like almost 2 years. It's been probably 20 months, I guess, and it needed to be cut, and I haven't had it this short in a really long time. So I am loving it. I'm just getting used to like doing it and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, I cut my hair. It's a lot shorter. But also I'm going to start talking a little bit about Come Follow Me, but I'm going to start at the end of the month of April, and then we'll come back and talk about Easter. There's just a few things in this booklet towards the end that I wanted to cover and go over. So we're gonna start with those things, and then we'll come back and spend a few minutes on the Easter stuff. Okay, so one of the pages I wanted to point out is this one. It says Being the New Kid. So in Doctrine and Covenants, section 38, we're gonna be learning about unity. So this activity follows the one before it. The day before is an activity about unity, and you're reading the scriptures. So this is kind of a follow-up, an interactive activity. And so it has some different scenarios here of what it could be to be like the new person, or maybe someone that's just left out and that doesn't necessarily have a place. And so I left it in this open format where you can role play with your kids. You could just talk to them if you don't want to role play, or maybe they don't want to role play. But you can role play these different situations with your kids and how they could respond. And you could take the good side or the bad side, however you want to do it, to show them, okay, maybe this wasn't a good response and this was a great response. So there's like a new student at school, a kid is being bullied, what could you do? And then someone is sitting by themselves at the park. These are just some of the situations I thought of, but you can do whatever works best for your family, or maybe a situation you have been in that you're like, oh, we need to go over the correct way to respond to this. And role playing is so very valuable. I am not great at it, and I hated role playing as a missionary. It was like my least favorite thing to do. It just makes me really nervous, but it's so helpful, especially with kids, to go through what they should be doing beforehand. And you can transfer this to like going to the store and how they should act in church and all these things. You practiced it before, and they're a lot better at it when the situation comes up. So that's the first activity I wanted to mention. The next one is about James Coville. There's just a few things I wanted to mention with this. So we learn about him a little bit in the Doctrine and Covenants. Most of it is coming from the section headings of section 39 and 40. You'll be able to read some of the verses and learn some about him as well. But something I also found helpful, because I knew the name, but I wasn't very familiar with who he was at all, besides what it tells you in the scriptures. And so I just Googled James Coville for like LDS or whatever for the church. Or you can go on the church website and put in James Coville, and it'll have some things that come up. And there are some of them are really good resources if you just want a little bit more background on who he was. You could talk about him with your kids and things like that. And I just feel like that would be a little bit more meaningful and diving a little deeper if you want to do that. So he was a preacher, and he told God that he would do what God wanted him to do. And God wanted him to get baptized, and he's like, no. When the saints are moving west, James Coville's ties are all to the East Coast, and all his preaching and his family heritage and all that. And so he didn't want to leave. And so he decided to kind of turn his back on God. And it talks about not keeping your promises, okay? Because he didn't keep his promise to God. So there's some questions here to go over. But I just thought that would be fun. There's a lot of people that I'm not super familiar with in the Doctrine and Covenants. I know smidgens about them here and there. So I wanted to cover some of those people just so your kids and yourself could become more familiar with who they are. Because I just think there's so much to be learned from the stories of people and not just the doctrine. So I love that. The next thing I wanted to mention is we're going to learn a little bit about Revelation and how the prophet receives revelation for the church and things like that. It's kind of a continuing thing throughout all the Doctrine and Covenants, obviously, as they're learning to have a prophet and what that means to have a prophet. So since we are having General Conference, I'm like, what is it called, in a few weeks, I wanted to put this in here, even though this will be towards the end of the month, as a review of what General Conference was. So I feel like this would be a good time to listen to, this is specifically for President Nelson's talks, but you could listen to anybody else too, and just kind of review some of the things you've learned, maybe having kids study them throughout the month and then going back over everything they've learned as they've restudied General Conference stuff. So that's what that is for. And the last page I want to mention has been in here the last few months, but it's just kind of this review that's at the very end of the month. I've just been updating it a little bit every single month. I'll add a few new questions and take some out. So it's always 10 questions, but some of the questions are repeats because I'm trying to cover from section 1 to where we're going to be, which is 44, and then Joseph Smith history as well. And so there's a bunch of questions in here. They have the references for the scriptures so you can go find them. If you're not sure, or if your kids aren't sure, you can get them in the scriptures, which again, I think is so important to get them in the scriptures, have them become familiar with them, not like on a device or anything, but like the physical copy of the scriptures. So that's just the extra things I wanted to cover for Come Follow Me. Now let's talk about the Easter stuff. Okay, so about a year ago, I made a video for Come Follow Me, and it had Easter things in it as well. So some of the things I'm going to be talking about are also talked about in that video. So I'll make sure I link that down below because I might mention things a little bit differently this time. But I did take the whole week of Easter I created for that one, for the Book of Mormon, and put it here. And I am just really excited about it. It made less work for me, obviously, but I really love this way, doing this to prepare for Easter. I just think it makes the week leading up to Easter so much more meaningful. And most of the things here are taken from this book here. So this is the Holy Week for Latter-day Saint families, and it's going to go through all the days leading up to Easter, and it gives you a bunch of different activities. So this is for Palm Sunday, when, you know, Christ comes in on the donkey and things like that, and you can talk about that with your family. So then there's pages in here that are going to correlate to this. You don't have to have this book to be able to do these activities, but this is, you know, Palm Sunday to write their blessings on. So we have that one as well. And then we have, there's 8 days because it's going from Sunday to Sunday when Christ is resurrected. And there's just a different activities you can do every single day that kind of correlate to the different things that were going on in those days of Christ's life leading up to his crucifixion and his resurrection. And so just a few things I'll mention for you guys to look at. So there's parables you can go over, and you can go into them in more depth if you want to do that. They're all from the Bible in here. There is some songs you can sing that talk about it. There's also on Wednesday, in this book, it talks about Wednesday as Betrayal Wednesday, talking about Judas Iscariot and things like that. But I just read another book. Let me find it. It's on the floor over here. And so this is The Unexpected Deliverer. This is a sneak peek because this will probably be in my book review for the month. And it's a very easy read, like super fast. But this is by Emily Bell Freeman and David Butler. It's a new book. And in here, they do talk about Wednesday and how Wednesday in the scriptures is silent. There's not anything really going on. We don't know what happened on Wednesday. And it's just a silent time, and how sometimes, like, how silence precedes miracles, you know, just that moment of calm and what we can learn from the calm and the silence. So I just really loved their take and understanding of that day. I thought it was really beautiful in this book. My kids are yelling so loud and running up and down the stairs. I was like, I'll come up here because they're outside playing, and now they're all inside. Anyways, so if you can hear them, I'm sorry that they're screaming at us so loud. But I'll link this down below as well. I'll make sure all these books are linked down below so you can check them out. And then another activity in here that I think is a lot of fun is on Saturday when Christ is in the spirit world preaching to the people there. I have this little chart, if I can flip to it, where they can get a little piece of like family history type stuff. So Salvation Saturday, and you could have them draw a picture, or if you have pictures on your computer, you could print some out or whatever and just glue them in here. But it's not a long pedigree chart. It's a very short one. It just is you, father, mother, and then paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents. And just so you can fill out a longer pedigree chart if you want to, or take this time to talk more about family history work. You could visit the temple. I know you can't like go inside, but you could go drive up to the temple and just have an experience there. And I think that's great. I love being at the temple. I miss going to the temple. So there's that. And then there's Resurrection Sunday, where they can share some different thoughts here. And it has a little saying at the top talking about what happened that day, but then it says, draw a picture of how Christ's resurrection has changed your life. And then in the second box, draw a picture of something you've learned this week. So then it gives them this opportunity to reflect on the past week and everything that they've learned. And this year, Easter and General Conference are on the same Sunday. And I am so excited for General Conference. I normally am, but this year I'm even more excited. I don't know why, but I'm just very excited. And so it's just a wonderful time to be able to reflect and just have a very spiritual weekend. And watching General Conference together as a family is another way I love to spend Easter, and making sure Christ stays in Easter. Okay, so let me just share a few of our Easter books with you that I really enjoy. And I'd love any recommendations you have. I love more Christian-based Easter stories, like picture books for my kids. And so if you have recommendations, leave them in the comments below. But this is another great book if you want to go through Easter a slightly different way. So in this book, it's talking about going through every single day of what was going on leading up to Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. In this book, it talks about the people Christ interacted with over that not just the last week, but over the course of his life, basically. And so this is celebrating a Christ-centered Easter. This is a children's edition. This is by Emily Bell Freeman as well. As you can tell, I love their stuff. And then this is the more adult version, I guess. It just goes into a little bit more detail about the people. And this has activities that go with it. They did a whole thing with LDS Living on YouTube a few years ago, so I'll make sure that's linked down below. But you can go through this book. They have, like I said, these teeny little activities. I think in the LDS Living video, they talk about planting wheat berries at the beginning of the week, and they grow really quickly. So by the end of the week, you have this tall grass. And we've done that the last few years, and that's just really fun. My kids love checking the seeds. We just plant it in a little pot, and that's really cool. She talks about making an Easter tree. So you just get some branches and put them in a vase, and you can hang eggs on them that you fill with maybe a memory or things about Christ that you love. And just all these little things of keeping Christ in that whole week. And you could do this for a whole month before. It doesn't have to just be the week leading up to Easter. I'm eating my hair. It just keeps flying into my mouth. So this book is really, really cute, and I really love it. And it has all the pictures. So it has Simon, and he carried the cross. It's gonna, I think, talk about Mary Magdalene. I can't remember who else is in here, but Joseph of Arimathea. So there's a whole bunch of different people that are involved in this book that just were in Christ's life. And so this is another take on how you can focus on Easter if you want to celebrate more of the people in Easter. And I just think that's great. And then what else do I have for you? I mentioned this book last year as well. This is an older book, but this also has some really great ideas. It's a Christ-centered Easter by Janet and Joe Hales, and it just has so many ideas. So it has the stories, if you want to study the different stories of Christ in the Gospels. So it has Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and what's going on in each of those verses. So this is another great way to study. It has a lot of stories in here. It has ideas for food, all that kind of stuff if you want to celebrate and eat some of the types of food they might have eaten at that time. So that's another fun one to do. And then we're just going to quickly go through the picture books I have for my kids. So The Legend of the Easter Egg is a cute one. My kids love this one. And then we also have, I'm going to drop it. E is for Easter. And this is just a fun alphabet one. And so it goes through A is for April, a month of rebirth. B is for bouquets and baskets and a bunny. So it's just a cute thing, especially if you want to teach your kids their ABCs. And then this is the Bernstein Berries. So this is Easter Sunday. And I just think, they're just classic. That's why we have it. It's just a classic thing, but they're going to church, and you can talk about going to church and having a wonderful, Christ felt they, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But then there's the sheep that no one can find. I really love Anthony DiStefano's books. I'm not really sure if that's how you say it. I feel like we have some for Christmas as well that I enjoy. And so this one is a really cute one. And then we have the story of the Easter Bunny, which is another cute one. I researched these a lot before I bought them. And just because I wanted really good books that were maybe off the beaten path and not the same types of just fluffy Easter books that we read most of the time. And then this is another one by Anthony DiStefano, and this is really cute. The donkey that no one could ride talks about the donkey that Christ rides into Jerusalem, and you know how it was so small it couldn't have a job, and because it was just a teeny, like it was the runt basically, and how Christ was able to make it something more and to do great things with this donkey. And I just think this is a beautiful story as well. And then, oh, let's get tip over. This is a spring book, just like a board book. So this would be fun for younger kids. So this is when spring comes, and then just kind of talks about some of the things you'll see in spring. And again, relating this to Easter and just this time of rebirth and miracles happening. And then the last one is the parable of the lily, and this one's a really cute one as well. So those are some of the books that we like and some of the things that we do leading up to Easter to make sure that Christ stays in our Easter. We're not perfect about it. We still, we do fun things, and we try to incorporate fun things this way and have little Christ lessons in all the fun things. But I just wanted to share these because I know it's hard to find ideas. And so share your ideas with me, because I'm always looking for new ways to celebrate Easter, ways to keep Christ in our Easter, but also just enjoy the time together as a family and celebrating this time of rebirth. So leave those things down in the comments for me, because it's very helpful. I love all your comments. They teach me a lot and they help me so much. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy seeing these types of videos, and I will see you next time.